Hi, I'm Black Bright and I'm broadcasting out of the UK. Welcome to my channel. If it's the first time you are passing by, I just want to welcome you into my space. My existing subscribers, thank you for sticking with me. This is going to be a different kind of video this time because this is showing you my weaknesses, the fact that when I feel vulnerable, well, I'm actually going to be vulnerable this evening because I want to share with you. I'm sharing with you because I need to stop beating myself up. I mean, I don't think I've ever beaten myself up so much as I did last night for missing an opportunity. So let me get back to the beginning. I'm going to read out most of it because I don't want to miss anything. Okay, so last night was the Windrush Community Awards held in Luton. And it was this, I got this award. Look, can you see? Yeah. Okay, so this award was an outstanding contribution to the performing arts and journalism. So that is the reason why I got the award. But let me get back to, I just don't want to forget to show you that. So the event celebrated Luton's Windrush elders and gave the nominees recognition for their contributions to community life, cultural diversity, impact, achievements, and continuing legacy. The nominees were Deslin Stewart, Declan Duggan, Lawrence Palmer, Cyril Ibble, Linus Abbey, Pastor Danny Diedrich, Pastor Lloyd Denny, Imelda Knight, Monty Panizar, Cecil Harrison, Zulfikar Ahmed, John Ashton, Daphne Palmer, and the late C.C. Campbell, Eileen Williams, Pastor Egbert Campbell, and yours truly, myself. So like I said, as a nominee, I didn't expect to get an award. I thought they were, like when you see the awards on TV, you have all these nominees, they pull up all the names, and then there's one award winner. So I didn't think I was going to get an award. But I was prepared just in case. So what happened is, Lady Empress, she's the presenter, and she's a presenter on LUR Radio in Luton. So she started off doing the awards, and so people went up, and it wasn't how I had planned to do mine. I had a speech and I had a couple of poems, and so I was thrown off by the way. Number one, it seemed like they didn't have much time to speak, or not that they didn't have much time to speak, but it was like it was structured in a certain way. So it kind of threw me off, and I realised how controlled I am in that moment because I didn't have a contingency plan. I kind of watched the two that went on before my name was called and thought, oh my God, what am I going to say? What am I going to concentrate on? And honestly, my mind went blank. And I went up there and I did exactly what I didn't want to do. Oh, I do painting, I do poetry, I do, the kitchen, the herbal kitchen, and I do black bright. But my plan was to tell the people why I do it for the community. That was my plan. But when she said, why do you think you've got this award? All of a sudden, my brain went off of why I do what I do to what I do. And as I got off of that stage, I was kicking myself. And I was kicking myself this morning, and I had to stop the voices. Honestly, it was really serious. I had to say, Myrna, get a grip. It's over. It's done. You lost that opportunity. You can't get it back. And it was that lost opportunity that made me think of other opportunities I've lost. And so I had to do something about it. And I'm doing this video to rectify it. So the event was spearheaded by Bob Baker and John Downey, and it was sponsored by Luton Airport. Rudolph Walker of Love Thy Neighbour, he was a special guest. I don't know how many of you remember that British sitcom in the 1970s. It was Eddie Booth and Bill Reynolds, aka Rudolph Walker, who used to banter about race. I don't know if it'd be politically correct now, but it was funny then. Clayton Stevens, Pauline Catlin-Reid and Yvonne Michelle were the singers, and they entertained us, and then Priscilla with her poetry. So, but as I entered the Hat Factory is an infamous building, and Luton was the place. They manufactured over 700 million hats a year, ladies' hats, in the 1940s. Can you imagine? And the Hat Factory was actually established in 1889. And it was formed by the Wright family, who lived on Albion Road in Luton. And they've been involved in making quality hats for over 300 years. 70 million hats in the 1930s it was, not in the 1940s. It actually declined in the 1940s. So the building doesn't look old. It's all been revamped. And as I went in, I was called to take a photograph with this tall white guy. He had white hair. He had a tuxedo on and a bow tie. And I thought, bloody hell, he looks like an older James Bond. I wonder who he is. Anyway, I then asked, just in case I was supposed to know. So I went to sit down in the cafe area. And then he came over, and I was sitting with my daughter. And he started talking. And I said, excuse me, what is it that you do? And he kind of fumbled a little bit, like he didn't really want to say. And then he said, I'm a counsellor. And then he also said, I think he said his name was John Young. He said, I'm a counsellor and I'm also a director of Luton Airport. And I'm like, whoa. So I said, you're the person who's actually sponsoring this event. He was one of the funders. Luton Airport was one of the main funders. I don't know if they were the main or the only funder, but I was sitting and talking to him, and I thought it kind of set the stage for the evening, you know. So there was a lot of people there. It was packed. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to share with you my speech, if I may, and my poems that I didn't get an opportunity to say last night. It would really help me, okay? Because I've been really giving myself a hard time. So, just imagine that you're in the Hat Factory. It's a large building. And it's a large building, and you're in an open space. You're sitting around tables. There's a big stage in front of you, and I'm standing there with the mic, with this pretty dress on. I think I showed you my dress. Let me show it to you again. Can you see it? Black and white. And I had heels. Me wearing heels. Yes, So in that kind of you set the stage. So this is my speech. Thank you all for coming, and to Bob Baker and his team for putting on this event. I wanted to thank those who nominated me, and I wanted to thank in particular Deborah Knight, who is so inspiring. And if she wasn't so young, she should be standing alongside me on this stage. I'm proud to be nominated alongside such eminent members of the Luton community, and all who have one thing in common: to help, heal and uplift the community. Because I lacked information as a child, I created Black Bright News, a monthly publication to raise awareness. a quarterly publication to raise awareness. Because I had such a challenging upbringing, I share my experiences to inspire through my books of prose and poetry. Because so many Windrush generation were unable to interpret difficult legislation and didn't understand the immigration status, I started this YouTube channel. Because I was concerned about our youths on the street, I volunteer. I volunteer now on a monthly basis on the Bedfordshire Police Use of Force and Stop and Search panel. I hope to uplift by counselling to reggae music through my role as a DJ, and my paintings are up at the Wardown Museum. I'm the first Windrush artist to exhibit there, which paves the way for other black artists. Recently, I opened the Inspirational Herbal Tea Kitchen, aka TIHTK. I research and create my own signature brand of herbal teas, and I customize them to hopefully help certain ailments, not cure them, but I hope they make people feel better. As a member of the Windrush, I believe I've experienced the best of everything. I was a part of the threepenny bit, the sixpence, and the half a crown experience. Punch and Judy was in my world, Wurzel Gummidge, Bessie Bunter, Dandy Comics, Snakes and Ladders, Feeding the Ducks, the Blue Spot Gran, Fats Domino, Rosewood Wardrobes, Glass Fishes, Crochet Doilies, Paraffin Heater, The Hot Comb, and too many other memories to mention. I watch TV programs like Armchair Theatre, This Is Your Life, Emergency Ward 10, Love Your Neighbour, Bless This House, The Real McCoy, and Top of the Pops. I lived through the ska and rocksteady era, when I used to lie to my mum and sneak out late at night. You can't do that now. Young girls can't be walking the streets late at night. I wrote Lovers Rock, More Than a Dance Floor, not only to balance Steve McQueen's rendition of what took place during that era, but to illustrate why, in my opinion, black people convened in a dark place, rubbing up with strangers in a sexual and provocative way, and to explain that Lovers Rock dance was the place where young people who lacked validation at home sought validation on the dance floor. And so at this point, I want to read my poems. Oh no, the paper's run out, but okay. The first one is, Time Doesn't Heal the Pain. Does it, Mama? Oh, Mama, you poor creature. You came to a country where you knew not your future. Your corpulent belly protected me from harm temporarily. My father asked you to stay, but you turned him away. Your pride could not deal with the hurt you'd concealed, and so you left your home without a word to anyone. Your pain and affliction became an addiction, causing you to choose a route with such predilection. When you recall him, you are filled with so much hate. How could such an encounter determine your fate? You decided to sail from one place to another, leaving behind your mother and father, only to discover that cold winds and expressions would serve to teach you a different kind of lesson. What could I do? A parasitical amoeba designed to feed off of you. Mama, how did it feel to leave my papa? Your papa, your mama. Were there millions of tears when compelled to leave relationships developed throughout the years? How did it feel to leave palm trees and blue skies for a country of prejudice and a country of lies? How did it feel after making your plans to discover you'd conceived with a married man? Was it his fair face or his warm embrace that enchanted you towards? that secret place? Was it his style that deceived you by guile, or his charismatic attest that made you accept? Do you despise him, Mama, because of that pain? You never ever mention his name. Do you resent me, Mama, because I look like him? The bow of time is long in breaking. It was so long ago, and yet you are still so cold. You still can't forgive him, so that we can start living. So that was my Windrush experience, because of my mother's Windrush experience. So I lived vicariously through that experience. And because of the Windrush experience, and because the people from the Commonwealth were brought over here to work, my mother wasn't supposed to be pregnant. If they found out she was pregnant, she wouldn't be eligible to come over to the UK. So she had to conceal me. And so when she came over, even though she got a room, she had to, it was really difficult for her because children weren't allowed. So she was staying with a friend who was a nurse, just happened to be a nurse. Well, a new friend that she actually made since she came to the country. And so she stayed with her, and she knew that that woman wouldn't tell anyone that she was pregnant, and she actually delivered me. The problem is that after she had me, what was she supposed to do with me? She couldn't keep me because children weren't allowed at that time. So this was in 1952. So children weren't allowed in that time. So she put me in a foster home. Paid foster home. It wasn't one of these gory places, even though they were quite strict, and it was kind of, I had that separation. I had all those feelings of abandonment, of feeling alone, and, as when children are nurtured one minute and then they're left alone the next, it has consequences on the child's development. They call it adverse childhood experiences. So I had that because my formative years between the ages of whether it was 2, I don't know how old I was. I think I might have been about 3, until I was 10. So those years I was away from my mother. So I obviously felt abandoned and rejected and all of those things that go on, even though my mother would come periodically and I guess to pay them and to give me sweets, but whatever. Anyway, I wrote this poem, The Child's Revenge, because of that experience. She was left behind. She watched her mother leave and cried, through eyes squinting, sounds muffled in the wind, creeping through a keyhole, springing with it. Sorry, I'm going to do that again. She was left behind. She watched her mother leave and cried, through eyes squinting, sounds muffled by the wind, creeping through a keyhole, bringing with it the cool breeze of loneliness. She felt alone and swore she would never be alone again. She would never feel that pain again or create a situation that felt the same. This promise was made by herself, to herself. She used her knuckles to wipe her eyes. Tears trickled down her face. No one to reassure her or take her from this place. Her tears avenged, she would grow up having lots of friends, never feeling alone again. She would make her own choices. She would not listen to adult voices. The ultimate child's revenge. Yes, so that was that poem, and I've never read it out loud. So it's quite strange. When I do my poetry, it just comes out. I don't read it. And so some of them a couple of them I recite, those I read, but that is the first time I've actually read it out loud. So it was quite deep. And the last poem I'm going to recite is Why Me Can't Tan It in England. And this was my main poem that I really wanted to recite last night and never got the opportunity. So just bear with me, please. You might have heard it before, it depending on who you are, where you live. It's called Lord, Me Can't Tan It in a England. Boarding the bus the other day, a burly black woman blocked my way. Wobbling into an already delegated seat, she planted her load between two white ladies' feet. She snarled and then snorted as if ready to bore into the two white women sitting each side of her. Just as the bus started pulling off, out of her mouth emanated a laugh. She then started to wheeze, and on blowing her nose, she nervously bawled out the tales of her woes. Lord, me can't tan it in a England. This country a gonna bring me down. Me want to go back to me country, but not even a penny me own. Me say me can't tan it in a England. Is where I get this weather from. It kill off me husband and me one girl child and leave me with no one figure reconcile. Them do autopsy for me one picnic and certify it as cut dead. But me no say nothing don't go so. And the cold weather take our last breath. The same way it lick up my husband Claude. He would be alive now if him did back a yard. But we leave where Jamaica for come here. Thinks a life would be better. But life no better. It was. And that is why me have a cuss. Them cut off my electricity this morning without so much as a warning. They make police come for arrest me because them say the rent don't pay. No wonder them say me a turn mad because them people here treat me too bad. The tremor in her voice caused the sandwich to fumble, but the sizzling filling continued her grumble. Why me can't turn it in a England? This country a gonna bring me down. Me want to go back to me people then. I don't know when. I don't know when. The two women limped away from her side, obviously deciding to discontinue their ride. While they were waiting to dismount the bus, I overheard their conversation. Was she on about us? Yeah, said the other. Ungrateful blacks, they come over here without clothes on their backs, using our social security to live a life of luxury, and most of them fill up our council flats. The government don't care about the likes of you and me. Us whites are the proper beneficiaries. I know most of them live off the dole. They ain't interested in working or playing their role. They go on complaining, it gets on me nerves. Have you heard about this discrimination thing? I think it's absurd. No more bar black sheets or gollywogs on jam, 'cause these foreigners call it discrimination. Have you ever heard... Sorry. Have you ever heard such a load of... They make their beds, they should lie in it, not come over here to complain about our weather. What's a bit of rain? You know what the government should do? Send those monkeys back to the zoo. I sat back and shook my head. They hadn't understood a word she'd said. They had translated her disorientation as attack on their country, and so they fought back with vicious words and an unrelenting heart. That avenging scourge that permeates that part of our people, making them understand that their contribution to the economy has meant nothing to man. So, I thought I would share that with you. I would like to think that since I came to Luton 21 years ago, I have fulfilled my purpose to inspire, motivate, and inform. And there was one other thing that I wanted to say. The saying goes, you have one opportunity to make a first impression. I might have missed the opportunity last night, but I've seized the opportunity via this platform. So hopefully I haven't been able to make a first impression last night, but I hope I can make a second impression with you this way. And that's all for now. Thank you very much for taking time out to listen. Bye-bye.